Welcome back to Lincoln Currency, the channel, where we dive deep into the fascinating world of coins, currency, and the treasures you might just have lying around in your own home. Today, we're taking a long and detailed journey into a coin that you might think is common, but under certain conditions, could be worth a small fortune. In fact, there's a number floating around the collector world that might sound absolutely unbelievable. $77 million for a penny. Yes, you heard that right. But before we jump to conclusions, let's unravel the story behind the 1973 Lincoln cent. The year is 1973. The United States is in the midst of profound cultural and political change. Richard Nixon is president, the Vietnam War continues to stir deep divisions, and in numismatics, something seemingly routine is happening at the U.S. Mint. Billions of coins are being struck, including the humble Lincoln cent. But as is often the case in the world of numismatics, it's not the everyday coins that catch our eye. It's the rare variations, the odd errors, and the perfect examples that hold value far beyond a single cent. Let's start by understanding what makes the 1973 penny special, or at least, what makes some of them special. The 1973 Lincoln penny was struck primarily at three mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia typically have no mint mark, those from Denver are marked with a small D, and San Francisco coins used an S mint mark. At face value, billions of these coins were minted, over 3.9 billion to be exact, combining all three mints. So naturally, most 1973 pennies are only worth 1 cent, right? Well, not exactly. It's all about rarity, condition, and sometimes anomalies. Let's talk mint marks first. The D and S mint marks can occasionally come with errors or variations. For example, some 1973 S-proof coins may be more valuable due to their superior quality and smaller mintage. Proof coins, in case you're not familiar, are specially struck with polished dies and planchets to produce a mirror-like finish. These are not meant for circulation but for collectors, and when preserved in pristine condition, especially if graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, they can bring in a handsome sum, particularly in grades of PR 69 or PR 70. Now, let's get into errors. This is where the coin world gets really interesting. Errors can happen in a number of ways. There are double dies, where the die strikes the coin twice slightly misaligned, leading to a noticeable duplication of the design. There are off-center strikes, broad strikes, die clashes, and coins struck on the wrong planchets, like a penny struck on a dime blank. These are incredibly rare and are often worth hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. For the 1973 Lincoln cent, one of the most desirable errors is the double die obverse. While not as dramatic or well known as the famous 1955 double die, a true double die from 1973, especially if authenticated and in mint state, can fetch serious money. Collectors are always on the lookout for strong doubling on Lincoln's profile, the motto, "In God We Trust, Liberty," or the date. If you spot one of these with your naked eye, don't toss it in the change jar, get it checked immediately. Then there's the condition factor. You might have two pennies from 1973, but one is grimy and worn, while the other looks as if it were minted yesterday. That second one, if uncirculated and graded MS 65 or higher, could be worth significantly more than face value. In fact, some high-grade examples have sold for several $100s at auction. A 1973 D Lincoln cent graded MS 67 Plus read by PCGS has fetched over $3,000 in recent years. That's a hefty return on a 1 cent investment. So now, let's address the million-dollar question, or more accurately, the $77 million question. Where did this claim come from that a 1973 penny is worth $77 million? While such headlines often circulate on social media or questionable auction listings, the truth is that number 1973 penny has sold for that amount. It's likely clickbait or a misunderstanding. However, that doesn't mean some coins aren't valued astronomically. For instance, rare coins like the 1943 bronze Lincoln cent or the 1974 aluminum cent prototype have fetched enormous sums, and are true legends in the collecting world. Some of those coins have indeed sold in the millions, though never near $77 million. But what if someone out there discovered a previously unknown 1973 penny error, maybe struck in a rare metal or bearing an experimental feature never meant for public release? In the right condition and with the right documentation, such a coin could rewrite the books. That's the magic of numismatics. You just never know what's possible. Coins are small metal artifacts, but they carry the weight of history, politics, economics, and even mystery. Let's not forget that coins pass through millions of hands. A rare error coin could easily end up in a drawer, a piggy bank, or between the couch cushions. In fact, many high-value finds have been discovered not by professional dealers, but by ordinary people who took the time to look. They examined the mint mark. They checked for errors. They compared the weight. They sent the coin for grading. That attention to detail turned pocket change into a small fortune. Now, back to market value. While a 1973 penny selling for $77 million hasn't happened, what about realistic high-end sales? As mentioned, top-graded examples, especially those with red designation, meaning the original copper luster has been preserved, are prized. An MS-67 red or higher from any of the three mints can sell from hundreds to thousands of dollars, depending on demand and rarity of that grade population. PCGS and NGC have census reports that show how many coins are graded at each level. The fewer in the top grades, the higher the value. Then there's the appeal of full-step reverses, where the Lincoln Memorial steps on the reverse of the coin are completely struck and visible. This is a key element for collectors. Full steps, minimal contact marks, sharp detail, all increase value. A collector trying to complete a high-grade Lincoln Memorial Series set might pay a premium for a particularly rare 1973 issue in mint red condition with flawless detail. Let's not overlook the emotional and historical value of coins like the 1973 penny. It represents more than currency. It's a piece of mid-20th century Americana. The Lincoln cent is one of the most iconic coin series in the world, with Abraham Lincoln's profile being the first real person to grace a regular U.S. circulating coin. And the 1973 cent is a continuation of that proud tradition, created just before the U.S. went through major changes in its coinage, composition, and culture. So if you're holding on to a 1973 penny, take a closer look. Does it have a mint mark? Is it pristine and shiny red? Are there signs of doubling or misstriking? Is it unusually light or heavy? And most importantly, could it be one of those errors or prototypes that somehow slipped into circulation? You don't need a magnifying glass or years of expertise to start. Just a little curiosity. And who knows, your 1973 penny could be worth more than you think. Maybe not $77 million, but maybe a few hundred, maybe a few thousand. And maybe, just maybe, you'll stumble upon a piece of numismatic history. So, check your jars, your old piggy banks, your change trays. You might not get rich overnight, but you'll definitely discover a deeper appreciation for the stories that every coin carries. And if you do find something unusual, get it graded, get it verified, and then get excited. Because the world of coin collecting is one of surprises, passion, and occasionally, truly unbelievable discoveries. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of the 1973 Lincoln cent. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell so you don't miss any of our future videos on rare coins and collectibles. Keep looking, keep collecting, and who knows, maybe the next $1 million find is already in your pocket. Today, we're diving deep into a small coin that has stirred up massive curiosity in the numismatic world, the humble 1-cent coin from 1981 featuring the iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln. While it's easy to overlook a single penny, especially in our digital age, you'd be surprised to know how this little copper-colored coin might hold big secrets, and in some cases, rumors of values stretching up to a jaw-dropping $77 million. Sounds crazy, right? But let's break it down and uncover the full truth, its history, variations, and why some people are paying thousands, even tens of thousands, for this particular coin. Let's start with the basics. The 1981 Lincoln penny is part of the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which was minted from 1959 to 2008. This design features Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, or front, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. This design was introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. It replaced the earlier wheat penny design, and it remained the face of U.S. pennies for nearly 50 years. In 1981, the U.S. Mint produced Lincoln pennies at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The ones minted in Philadelphia bear no mint mark, the ones from Denver show a small D beneath the date, and those from San Francisco have an S mint mark. While most of these coins are common, the devil is in the details. Let's talk composition for a moment. The year 1981 was significant because it was the last full year in which the Lincoln cent was composed primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc. Starting mid-1982, the mint switched to a predominantly zinc composition, 97.5% zinc with a thin copper coating, because of rising copper prices. That makes the 1981 pennies some of the last true copper coins in circulation. Copper is heavier and more valuable, and if melted, each coin's metal is technically worth more than its face value. Of course, melting pennies is illegal in the US, but collectors definitely take notice when composition changes. Now let's look closer at the mint marks and variations. The 1981 Lincoln cents weren't released into general circulation. These were proof coins, minted with extraordinary care for collectors, and sold in sets. But even among proofs, there are variations. One of the most well-known is the Type 1 and Type 2 mint mark variety. In 1981, the mint used 2 different styles of the S mint mark on proof coins. The Type 1S is a more blob-like, less defined mint mark. The Type 2S is much clearer and sharper. The Type 2 coins were struck with a new punch that created a cleaner S. Type 2 is considered significantly rarer and is highly sought after by collectors. Now, here's where things get interesting. Some of these 1981 Type 2 proof pennies have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars, especially in PR70 deep cameo condition, a perfect proof coin with flawless surfaces and ultra-deep mirror-like contrast. These coins can sell for $3,000 to $5,000, depending on the grading company and buyer interest. But the 1981 Lincoln cent doesn't just have premium proofs. There are also errors and oddities that make certain circulated coins much more valuable. Double die obverse, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets. These are all kinds of minting mistakes that can dramatically increase a coin's value. A 1981 penny with a strong double die on the obverse, where the date or Lincoln's profile appears doubled, can attract the attention of collectors willing to pay top dollar. Some error pennies from 1981 have sold for over $1,000 depending on the clarity of the error and condition of the coin. Let's dig into one of the most persistent rumors: that a single 1981 Lincoln penny sold or is worth $77 million. Let's be very clear, there is no verified record of a 1981 penny selling for anywhere near that amount. This claim appears to be rooted in internet myths or clickbait headlines designed to generate views. But like many myths, it may be loosely inspired by rare coin sales of other Lincoln cents. For example, the 1943 copper Lincoln cent, an error coin accidentally struck in copper instead of zinc-coated steel, has sold for over $1 million at auction. It's easy to imagine how these rare events snowball into urban legends. Someone hears about a valuable penny from the 1940s and suddenly any old copper coin seems like a potential treasure. Before you know it, people are Googling things like 1981 penny worth $77 million, hoping they struck gold, or in this case, copper. What might have fueled the speculation about the 1981 penny is the shift in metal composition. Because the mint switched from copper to zinc in 1982, people assumed that coins minted close to that transition might have experimental or transitional errors. While no officially confirmed 1981 transitional error has sold for tens of millions, any coin with an unusual composition verified by a lab could be a blockbuster discovery. So far, though, we haven't seen it with a 1981 date, but here's where the market value gets truly fascinating. Coins that are normal to most people might be premium gems to collectors depending on their grade. A coin graded MS67 or higher, meaning mid-state, nearly perfect, can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. These are coins with full luster, no scratches, perfect strike, and pristine surfaces. PCGS and NGC, the two top grading companies, have graded 1981 pennies at MS67 RD, red, meaning full original copper color. These top pop coins have sold for over $2,000 at auction. Now, let's say you're checking your pocket change and wondering if you might have a 1981 penny worth anything more than a cent. What should you look for? Start by checking the mint mark. S means it's a San Francisco proof and could be valuable, especially if it's the Type 2 variety. D and no mint mark mean it's from Denver or Philadelphia, respectively, and these could still be valuable if in uncirculated condition or if they contain errors. Next, look at the color and shine. Is it brown, or red? Red coins, which maintain their original copper color, are the most valuable. Then check for any doubling, odd shapes, off-centering, or surface blemishes that might indicate a mint error. If you think you have something unusual, don't clean the coin. Cleaning can reduce its value significantly. Instead, take it to a local coin dealer or submit it for grading with PCGS or NGC. Let's take a second to appreciate the mystery and excitement that a single penny can bring. In a world of cryptocurrency, digital wallets, and tap-to-pay convenience, it's easy to forget how rich the history of physical currency is. These small coins were used in everyday life, dropped in vending machines, stuck under couch cushions, and yet, a select few were carefully preserved, mint errors escaped unnoticed, and rare varieties were created. These are now treasures of the numismatic world. Even if your 1981 penny isn't worth a fortune, collecting coins connects us to American history, to manufacturing processes, and to the economic shifts of decades past. That tiny coin in your hand has traveled far and wide. Maybe it was handed over for a gumball in 1982 or flipped in the air to settle a bet. And now here it is, in your hands, potentially holding a story, or a value, you never expected. So no, the 1981 penny might not really be worth $77 million. But that doesn't mean it isn't worth something. Whether it's a $5,000 proof, a $1,500 error, or a pristine MS67 specimen, these coins are out there, and they're being discovered every day by people just like you, who took a second to look at their change a little more closely. And who knows? The next big discovery might just be sitting in your coin jar right now. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of 1981 Lincoln pennies, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell. I've got more coin stories, myths, facts, and surprises coming your way. Until then, happy hunting, and keep an eye on those pennies.